Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive that's a little different.
Oh,
We're looking at a story written specifically for people learning English.
that sounds interesting.
It is, and we'll unpack how it uses everyday language to help beginners.
So even if you're already fluent, you can learn something.
Absolutely. Think of it as a fun way to brush up on your communication skills.
I like it. So what's the story about?
It's about two people who meet because of a wrong number text and end up falling in love.
Classic rom-com setup, but you said it's designed for language learners.
Right, like in the opening scene where the guy accidentally texts the girl a joke.
A joke? What kind of joke?
It's, why did the coffee file a police report?
I don't know.
It got mugged.
Oh, I see. A classic dad joke.
Exactly. And it shows how the story uses humor to introduce phrases like, sorry, and I'm sorry.
Makes sense. Politeness is key in English communication.
For sure. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I was so scared of making mistakes.
Everyone feels that way.
But this story reminds us that mistakes are part of the process,
Yeah.
and they can be funny.
Yeah, like in the story, the girl laughs at the joke even though she doesn't know the guy.
It breaks the ice immediately and sets the stage for a connection.
It's subtle, but using humor to diffuse awkward situations is a big part of English culture.
Huh. I never thought of it that way.
It's a great way to build rapport.
So from this wrong number, they start texting regularly.
Okay.
The girl asks, how was your day? And the guy replies, sharing a bit about his day.
Such a simple question, but so important for language learners.
Really?
Oh yeah, how was your day? Is a classic conversation starter. It invites the other person to open up.
I guess I never really thought about it, but it is easy to understand and use.
Exactly. And it can lead to all sorts of responses, which keeps the conversation going.
So they're chatting, getting to know each other,
Right.
and then they discover they both love Coldplay.
Finding common ground. This is crucial when learning a new language. When you have shared interests, even if your vocabulary is limited, the conversation flows.
It's about connecting as humans first. The language is just the tool.
Exactly.
But what if you don't have the same interests?
Ah, well then you can use the differences as conversation starters too. Like instead of saying, I don't like that band, you could ask, what do you like about them?
That's a good point. It shows you're interested in the other person's perspective.
And keeps the conversation moving forward.
Okay, so back to the story. They're talking about hobbies now.
Right.
The girl asks, what do you like to do in your free time?
Another great question for language learners.
Why is that?
It lets you talk about things you enjoy, your
It
passions.
shows your personality, what makes you tick.
Right. And for someone learning a new language, talking about hobbies can be a real confidence booster.
Yeah, it's less intimidating than trying to discuss, like, philosophy or something.
Exactly. It's about finding your comfort zone within the language and building from there.
Like laying bricks, one at a time.
Perfect analogy. Learning a language is a gradual process. It's about celebrating the small wins along the way.
And not being afraid to make mistakes.
Of course.
So their connection grows, and the guy decides to take a leap.
He asks her out.
Yes. He said, hey, do you want to meet sometime?
A classic line, but crucial for language learners to know.
And her response is great, too. She's enthusiastic.
Like, sounds perfect, or great idea.
Exactly. It shows she's genuinely interested, and that can really boost someone's confidence.
It's also important to remember cultural nuances, though.
How so?
In some cultures, it might be too forward to suggest meeting so soon after meeting online.
Ah, I see.
But in many Western cultures, it's totally normal, especially if there's mutual interest.
Makes sense.
Ah.
So the day of their coffee date arrives, and they finally meet face to face. They greet each other with simple hi, and it's so good to see you.
Basic, but important.
Right. They set a positive and welcoming tone.
It's all about those first impressions.
And the smallest words can make a difference when spoken with sincerity.
Definitely. So they're at the coffee shop, ready to get to know each other better. What happens next?
Well, the guy asks the girl, tell me more about your painting.
Oh, I like that. It's simple, but encourages her to talk more.
And it's so versatile. You can use tell me more about for anything.
True. Hobbies, work, travels, anything.
It shows genuine interest and gives you more to listen to and learn from.
Like a key that unlocks a deeper conversation.
And as their date comes to an end, the girl says, I had a wonderful time.
A classic way to express enjoyment.
And the guy, being smitten, suggests, let's meet again soon.
Another essential phrase for language learners.
It shows a desire to continue the connection and sets the stage for future interactions.
It's a small victory for anyone who's ever struggled to express themselves in a new language.
It's empowering. You don't have to be fluent to have enjoyable social interactions and be yourself.
Absolutely. And their story continues to highlight these small victories as their connection deepens.
Oh.
They start texting good morning and good night every day.
It's easy to overlook those little greetings when you're focused on learning bigger words.
But those small gestures really go a long way in building a relationship, you know?
Yeah, they show you care even when you're not together.
Exactly. And as they talk more, their language starts to reflect deeper feelings.
Like how?
Well, at one point the girl says, "I think I really like talking to you."
Oh,
And the guy replies, "I feel happy when I talk to you."
that's sweet.
It's a big step, moving beyond just pleasantries.
It's about being vulnerable, even in a new language.
And that vulnerability leads to an even stronger connection.
They're falling in love.
And eventually the guy says those three little words, "I think I love you."
That's so romantic.
And she says it back, "I think I love you too, Tom."
It's a beautiful culmination of their journey.
It shows that learning a language is about so much more than just the rules.
Right, it's about connecting with another human being.
About experiencing the world in a new way.
And opening yourself up to new possibilities.
Exactly.
So their love story unfolds, and they keep using simple language to build their life together.
They go on walks, share music, even paint and play guitar together.
It's amazing how their love for language and learning strengthens their bond.
And they support each other's growth, too.
Like how?
The guy helps the girl with her English, and she introduces him to her culture and language.
They're constantly learning and growing together.
It makes their relationship unique,
Like they're creating their own special language.
a blend of their experiences and expressions.
It's a reminder that language can bridge any gap,
And it all began with that wrong number text message.
proving that unexpected encounters can lead to something wonderful.
You know, as we're talking, I'm realizing how many lessons there are for English learners.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, first of all, you don't have to be fluent to communicate and make friends.
You could start with simple phrases like, "How was your day?" Or, "What do you like to do in your free time?"
And as you get better, you can try more complex things.
The key is to start small and beat up.
And don't be afraid of messing up.
It's all part of learning.
Mistakes can even open up new doors, like we saw with that wrong number.
You're right. Don't let fear stop you from practicing.
Every time you successfully talk to someone, it's a step forward.
And remember, finding common ground helps make conversations easier. Talk about hobbies, books, movies, anything you're passionate about.
It's a great way to practice while connecting with people.
But language learning isn't just about technical skills.
It's so much more than that.
It's about connecting, experiencing new cultures, and understanding the world.
Exactly. It's about being open to new possibilities and embracing the beauty of human connection.
And sometimes a simple hello or a wrong text is all it takes to start something amazing.
You're right.
Language learning is an adventure worth taking, no matter who you are.
I couldn't agree more.
So to wrap up this deep dive into simple English and the power of connection,
Yeah.
remember that you don't have to be perfect to communicate and build real relationships.
Start small. Embrace those mistakes.
Find things in common with people and don't be afraid to talk about them.
Most importantly, remember, it's about more than just words.
It's about connecting with people, new experiences, and broadening your horizons.
It's about the joy of human connection and all the possibilities that come with learning a language.
And sometimes all it takes is a simple hello or a missent text to start something truly special.
Yeah, it really shows how those small moments can have a huge impact on our lives.
It's inspiring to think that something as simple as a wrong number can lead to love.
It reminds us to be open to new experiences and to step outside our comfort zones.
It's about approaching life with curiosity and a willingness to connect with others.
We all have something unique to offer, and those differences can actually make our lives richer.
I love that. And this story shows how those connections can go beyond language and cultural differences.
Tom and Lily's story is proof that human connection is powerful, something we can all aim for.
Absolutely. So for those of you out there learning English, we hope this story encourages you.
It shows that you don't need to be perfect to communicate and build relationships.
Just start small and embrace those mistakes along the way.
Find common interests and talk about them.
But never forget, language learning is about more than just the technical stuff.
It's about connecting with people, experiencing new cultures, and broadening your understanding of the world.
It's about opening yourself up to new possibilities and embracing the beauty of human connection.
And sometimes all it takes is a hello or a wrong text to set those possibilities in motion.
What a beautiful thought.
It perfectly captures what we've been talking about today.
Language learning is an adventure, and it's worth taking no matter who you are.
I couldn't agree more.
It's about this person named Alex
Okay.
who finds this box of old love letters that their grandmother wrote.
Oh.
Her name was Clara, and the letters were written to a man named Samuel.
So these letters are like from a long time ago then?
Yeah, and the language in them is very simple,
I see.
but it's still really beautiful and effective, and Alex actually uses the letters to help them learn English.
Wow, that's amazing. Like the letters are like a window to the past.
Yeah, it's like they're opening up a time capsule.
Mm-hmm.
And the video starts with Alex finding the box of letters,
Okay.
and it's tied with this faded ribbon.
I can picture it.
Yeah, and then they start to read the letters out loud.
And what happens?
Well, they get really captivated by the language.
Like how so?
Well, there are all these phrases in the letters that are really simple. You know, like, I miss you more than words can say.
Yeah,
But they still have a lot of emotional weight.
that's true. Even simple phrases can be very powerful.
Yeah, and that's a good point for people who are learning English.
Right.
If you learn those core expressions, you can really start to understand the emotions behind the language.
It's like they're the building blocks for more complicated communication.
Right, and Alex is really drawn in by it all, not just by the love story,
Yeah,
but also by the way that Clara expresses herself.
I bet.
Like, they've discovered this secret portal to their family's past,
Hmm.
and they really want to learn more about it.
I can see how that would be motivating.
Yeah, totally. Like, when you're emotionally invested in something,
Right.
it's easier to learn.
It becomes more meaningful.
Exactly.
It's not just memorization anymore.
Right, and I have to say, I'm already hooked on the story.
Me too.
I want to know, like, why Clara and Samuel were apart.
Yeah, like, was it a forbidden love or something?
Right. Or were they separated by a war?
Ooh, maybe
Those
there.
letters are so intriguing.
Definitely.
And you know, the story doesn't tell us all the details right away.
Oh, so it keeps you guessing.
Yeah. And as Alex reads more of the letters, we see them actually, like, engaging with the language.
What do you mean?
Well, like, for example, they come across the phrase, I miss you.
Okay.
And they decide to look up the word miss in the dictionary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Like, they're not just reading the words.
Yeah.
They're actually trying to understand them.
That's a really good way to learn.
It is. It's called active learning.
And it's much more effective than just memorizing words,
Exactly.
especially for beginners.
Yeah. When you see words in a real context, they're
Right.
more likely to remember them.
And understand how they're used.
Right. It's not just about learning individual words.
It's about understanding how they all fit together.
Yeah. To tell a story and to convey emotions.
And that's what we see happening in these letters.
Exactly as the love story unfolds,
Right.
we see how simple English can be used to express all these complex feelings.
Like what?
Well, Samuel writes to Clara with so much longing, you know.
Ah.
He talks about his dreams for their future together.
And all in simple English.
Yeah, and even though the language is simple, you can still feel the depth of his emotions.
It shows that you don't need fancy words to express yourself.
Yeah, you just need to choose the right words.
And that's something that beginners can learn from.
Absolutely. Like, simple doesn't have to mean shallow.
Right.
It can still be meaningful.
And this is where storytelling really helps with language acquisition.
How so?
Well, it's like watching a movie with subtitles.
Okay.
You're so focused on the plot that you almost absorb the language without even realizing it.
Interesting.
It's not like studying anymore.
Right.
It's more like experiencing something.
I like that. And the simple language in these letters
Yeah.
makes it easier for someone like Alex, who's a beginner, to understand the story.
Yeah. It's all laid out in a way that's easy to follow.
Right? Short sentences, common words, heartfelt expressions.
It's like the perfect recipe for language learning.
Maybe it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all easy for a beginner to understand, you know, someone like Alex.
Right.
Yeah.
But then, as we get deeper into the story,
Oh.
yeah, things start to change a little.
Okay.
In one of the letters, Samuel says that he has to leave.
He has to leave.
Yeah, he has to go far away.
Oh.
And he promises that he'll come back to Clara.
Okay.
But you can kind of tell that his tone is different. You know?
Different how?
Well, there's this hint of uncertainty in his words.
Oh, I see.
Like there's a shadow hanging over everything.
Yeah.
Like foreshadowing.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, foreshadowing can be a good tool for language learning.
Really? How?
No. Well, think about it. Negative emotions, like sadness or suspense, they make stories more memorable.
That's true.
Yeah, and we tend to remember the language that's used in those moments.
Like that old saying, you know, happy families are all alike, Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way.
Right, exactly.
Maybe that's why we like stories with conflict and drama so much.
Yeah, and as you said, those strong emotions can help us learn a language better.
That's fascinating.
Now, do you remember how Alex reacted when Samuel left?
Let me think. Yeah, they started doing some research of their own.
Oh, yeah.
They wanted to understand why Samuel had to go.
They went beyond the letters.
Yeah, they even went to the library and looked up old pictures of the town where Clara and Samuel lived.
Wow, so they became like a detective.
Yeah, kind of. And it really helped them understand the story better.
And the language.
Right, and it gave them this deeper appreciation for the time period.
Exactly. Language isn't just about words and grammar.
It's about culture, too,
Yeah.
and a way of life.
And by learning about the history and culture, Alex was able to understand the language even better.
So it's like learning by living.
Kind of, even if it's just through these old letters and pictures.
Yeah, and at this point, I think we're all waiting for Samuel to come back.
Right.
Like Alex must be dying to know what happens next.
I know, me too.
But then the final letter arrives, and it's not what we expect.
What happened?
Well, Samuel writes that he can't come back to Clara.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he says he has a new life now,
Wow.
and he asks her to move on.
That's so sad.
It's a real heartbreaker.
And it explains why Clara never talked about Samuel.
Yeah, the pain must have been too much.
But for Alex, this is a powerful lesson.
You mean about love and loss?
Yeah, and also about language.
How so?
Well, they learn that even simple words can have a huge impact.
That's true.
Yeah, and its unexpected twist in the story,
Mm-hmm.
it shows how important storytelling is for language learning.
Why is that?
Well, it keeps us engaged,
Okay.
and it makes us pay attention to the language.
So we can understand what's really going on.
Exactly. And for a beginner like Alex,
Right.
that's a really important skill to develop.
It helps them move beyond just recognizing words
Right.
to actually understanding them.
And how they affect the story.
Exactly.
So even though the love story ends sadly,
Yeah.
it seems like Alex has learned a lot.
More than just English.
Yeah, they've learned about love and loss and resilience.
And the power of simple words.
It's amazing how much you can learn from a story.
It is. And that's the beauty of language learning through storytelling.
It goes beyond just the academic stuff.
Right.
It touches on things that we can all relate to.
It allows us to connect with the material on a deeper level
And that helps us understand it better.
and remember it.
Exactly. You know, this whole story has really shown us that learning a language can be so much more than just memorizing vocabulary and grammar rules.
Oh, absolutely.
It's about connecting with stories and exploring new worlds and really expanding our understanding of what it means to be human. I agree. And I think what's especially valuable about this story for our listeners is that it shows the power of simplicity.
Right.
Like Alex's journey proves that you don't need to know a ton of words or complicated grammar to really connect with a language.
Exactly like starting with simple English.
Yeah.
Focusing on those core expressions.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
It lets learners build a solid foundation while also connecting with the material in a deeper way.
It's about quality over quantity.
I like that. And I think that's really encouraging for people who are just starting to learn a language.
I agree.
It shows them that they can start small and build up their skills over time.
It's like learning to play an instrument.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't expect to be playing concertos on your first day, right?
Right.
You start with the basics and you gradually work your way up.
Exactly. And just like a musician finds joy in mastering those basic skills, a language learner can find a lot of satisfaction in understanding and using even simple English effectively.
That's a great point. So, if we had to sum up this whole deep dive into one key takeaway for our listeners,
Okay.
what would it be?
What would it be?
I think it would be this: embrace the power of simple English.
Embrace the power of simple English.
Yeah, don't underestimate the impact that clear, concise language can have, especially when it's used to express real emotions and experiences.
And for those of you who are just starting out on your language learning journey,
Yes.
remember to focus on the fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Find stories that speak to you. And don't be afraid to let yourself feel those emotional connections.
Because in the end, language is all about connection. Connecting with others, connecting with different cultures, and connecting with a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
That's beautifully said. And who knows?
What?
Maybe there's a hidden treasure trove of language learning waiting for you in your own attic or family history.
Oh, I love that.
So go out there, explore, connect, and let the power of language enrich your life.
Even in its simplest forms.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.